Hey guys, it's Jen with Two Ends. Welcome back to my channel, and actually I might as well say welcome back to me. I did take a little bit of a hiatus. My oldest daughter actually just left for the Army a few weeks ago, so she's in basic training now. So I was having a little bit of a pity party and kind of the stress and everything of getting her ready to go and all of that. It all just kind of piled up. But now my life is back in order and I'm ready to do some more tutorials for you guys. So I've already put on my peel base. I put peel base on before every manicure. The colors that we're going to use today are Double Dip's Green Lagoon, Atomic Orange, also from Double Dip, and then from Rocky Mountain Dip Powder, French White. So we're on the countdown to St. Patrick's Day. So I did a St. Patrick's Day mani. The glitter is Mischief Maker. This is from Rocky Mountain Dip Powder. It is no longer available. It was her St. Patrick's Day colors, but they're not available on the website anymore. But she does have amazing products. So give them a try. And then the liquids that I'm using today are Double Dip's liquids. I am going to use a makeup brush for the ombre. Any makeup brush will do. You just want to make sure that it's fluffy so that you can fluff the powder. I am using two different brushes. I don't always use different brushes for the colors, but because I'm using white, I did not want to mix those colors. So I am using two makeup brushes for the ombre, but usually I only use one. And then I also like to use cupcake liners to keep my mess contained. When you do an ombre, you do want to make sure that you use cupcake liners or something to catch the powder because you will make a mess. And if you haven't done the ombre before, then you'll see what I mean here coming up. But if you have, or if you've seen it done, then you know powder tends to go everywhere. So after you are completely prepped, you have all of your powders, well, I shouldn't say completely prepped. After you have your powders open, then you want to make sure to stir them. And I don't really know what I was doing that for, but I think I was just trying to show you how fluffy my makeup brush is. You want it to be able to pick up the powder so that it holds enough powder, but that it kind of fluffs out of the brush also when you go to tap it. So alrighty, we are going to start with a thin layer of base coat, just really super thin as you can make it, because if your liquid is too thick, then when you put the powder over it or when you dip your finger, the liquid, it's going to have a harder time to absorb all of that powder. So then your nails are going to end up thicker than you want them, and they're going to take forever to dry, and it's just not going to be a very good end result. So always start with a very thin layer. The thinner the better. You can always add more layers if you need to. It's easier to add a layer than it is to file it down. So after you have your base coat on, then you pick your first color. I started with the green, and turn your finger completely sideways because we're going to do a three-way ombre. So turn your finger completely sideways and load your brush with the powder. Just dip it in there and then start tapping it over your nail. Just tap, and then when you're done, move on to the next color. You have to move a little quickly because you definitely don't want the liquid to dry. I don't know if you noticed, but I did wipe my brush off on a paper towel to try to get that extra green off. But you do the same thing. Dip the brush into the powder, turn your nail the opposite direction, and then tap the nail there, tap the brush where you want the powder to go. And then do the exact same thing for the white, only keep your finger straight up because now we're just doing the last bit of nail that has not had powder on it yet. Again, move very quickly because the liquid will dry. Also be careful with the white. I didn't want to contaminate my white, so I got another cupcake liner and I tapped the powder off into that. In case there was any color in the white, I didn't want to mix it into my jar. And there we have our first layer. I know I went pretty quickly, so we'll do it again, and I won't chat this time, so you can just watch what I do when we get there, of course. Let the powder sit on your nail for a few minutes before you brush it off because you do want the liquid to be able to absorb the powder. And again, make sure that you dust it off into a separate cupcake liner. And there's our first layer. Don't worry if the colors aren't as prominent as you want them because we will go over and do it again. So this time we're going to start with the last color that we ended with. So we're going to start with the white instead of the green. So rule of thumb, when you do ombre, you start in one direction, and for the second layer, you go back the exact opposite way. So we started with the green, and then we did orange, and then we did white. So for the second layer, we're going to do white, and then orange, and then green. So do your thin layer of base coat. Make sure to wipe your brush before you put it back into your bottle. This will help to not contaminate your liquid. If you have powder on your nail already and if you get powder on your brush and then you put the brush back into the bottle, then you could contaminate your liquid. So just wipe your brush on a napkin or a paper towel, and if you get any on your skin, wipe it off. And I will let you guys watch here. We're going to start with the white. I'll just let you watch and I'll see you here in a minute. And that is it for the second layer. That's how it looks so far before brushing it off. Once we dust off the extra powder, then you'll really see exactly where the powder laid. But before you do that, before it dries, always take a toothpick or an orange wood stick and just clean up around your cuticles. Get any of that extra powder that got on your skin, any liquid, anything. Just clean up the area. It will make your end product look that much better and you will be that much happier, I promise. And then dust off all the extra powder, and now we can see what layer 2 looks like. We're going to go in with another layer. You can do as many layers as you want until you're happy with it. I typically recommend doing 3 layers if you're doing an ombre. 3 seems to be the magic number. And then for the third layer, you're going to start with the same color that you started with at first. The very first layer, we started with green. So we're going to do green, orange, and then end with white. It just helps those lines to look really blended if you do 3 layers and if you do it this way. Of course, you can try as many layers as you want. I have had success with 2 layers. It's going to be a trial and error for you really until you can figure out. And of course, every color is going to be different too. So I recommend 3. Take that and go from there. How about that? But the most important thing is you do want to remember to switch back and forth between the order of the colors. So always do opposite for every layer that you did the layer before. If I couldn't have confused that anymore for you guys. I'm sorry if I'm confusing. Hopefully it's simple enough. So I'm just assuming that everybody knows, but maybe somebody doesn't. This is the Irish flag. So it's my St. Paddy's Day manicure, one of them. I actually did 7 manicures leading up to it. That's my plan anyway. I'm on number 5. So this is the Irish flag, and I actually think it turned out kind of cool. Something else that you can do if you are a beginner is you can get swatch sticks from Amazon. You can buy them pretty cheap. They're just like what they have at the nail salons where you can practice. So if you can get like 150 of them for like $6, I think. And you can just practice your designs before you do them on your nails. it helps so that A, you get practice, but also B, you just kind of have a plan in your mind. Obviously, in case it wasn't clear, I like to clean up my workspace. This is another reason I like using cupcake liners, because look how easy that is. All of that extra powder that spilled, it's not wasted because I can just pour it back into the bottles. So anyways, back to swatches. I think they're a great idea, especially for people who are beginning. You can practice and you can mess up as many times as you want because they are cheap. And there I go again, calling jars bottles. If you have been here before, then you know I do that quite often. And if this is your first time, then I'm going to tell you I do that quite often. All right, so once if you're satisfied and you're happy with the design, the next step is to activate it. This would also be the step that you would want to put a layer of clear powder over your design. I chose not to because this powder was super smooth and I knew I wasn't going to need to do a lot of buffing. But if you do a design on your nail, it is a good idea to do a layer of clear powder to protect it from when you are buffing so you don't mess it up. After you put the activator on, you want to wait for 2 minutes. We'll let the activator dry. Something else about the clear powder really quick before we get into the filing is I didn't want to put on another layer of powder because it would make my nails thicker. So obviously it makes sense. The more layers of powder you do, the thicker your nails are going to be. So keep that in mind. That's also why it's so important that you have such thin layers of base coat. So thin layers of base coat, thin layers of powder. It's all, it's a science really. So after the activator is dry, then you want to go in with your file and shape your nails to be how you want them to be. You can do this manually or you can use an e-file. I just used a manual file because I didn't have that much cleaning up to do. And then after you're done with the filing, then you want to buff your nail. Buffing helps to get any of the imperfections out. It helps your nail to be smooth. It just helps the end product look that much better. And then it is time to wash your hands and get all that extra dust off. Once your hand is washed, I actually had to take cuticle nippers because I had some dry skin that I missed when I was doing my nail prep in the beginning. And then I had some extra powder and my cuticle looked not very good. So that's what I'm doing here, just cleaning up some stuff that I missed. So you can do that also. If you did a good job, like I didn't, then you may not need to do this part. Seriously though, even if you do a good job at prep, sometimes it just happens. So while I'm doing that, I do want to take the time to talk about the importance of the top coat and the activator and making sure the activator is dry before you put your top coat on. So as I mentioned earlier, dipping is a science. The top coat, you need to have 2 layers of top coat. The top coat needs the activator to be able to dry. However, the activator will ruin your top coat if your brush touches it. So you can see the conundrum here. The top coat needs the activator, but the activator will ruin the top coat. So timing is a big deal here. After you wash your hands, now you put your second round of activator on. Again, like I mentioned, it's necessary. You cannot skip this step unless you're going to go with the gel top coat instead of the dip top coat, in which case you can skip it. If you noticed my 2 there, I just did 2 with my fingers. So that means you have to wait for 2 minutes for the activator to dry for the second coat of activator. So we're going to wait for 2 minutes. After it is dry, then I take a lint-free wipe and some alcohol, and I wipe my nails just to try to get any leftover activator off of my nails and off of my skin. This part isn't necessary, but I found it's better for me. If I do it this way, I don't ruin my brush anymore. I did when I first started dipping, ruined my brush a whole heck of a lot of times. And if you're beginning, you probably will too. But it is normal. You just need to figure out kind of your system. Once you get it, it clicks and you just get it forever. But until then, be prepared to harden some brushes and be some frustrating times. So Double Dip, their liquid kit actually comes with a brush cleaner. So if you do harden your brush, you just put your brush in their liquid cleaner for 5 to 10 minutes, and then it usually softens right up. Sometimes you have to soak it overnight. But anyways, okay, so moving on, now we are ready for our first coat of top coat. You want to, notice I'm wiping my brush. Always, always, always wipe your brush before you stick it back into the bottle. You want your first coat to be as quick as you can. Just get it on there. It doesn't have to be perfect. We don't want our brush to touch our nail. We want our brush to touch the nail as least amount of possible as we can. So get it on there, wipe your brush, put it back in the bottle. And make sure that you do not wipe your brush in the same spot that you've already wiped it. Okay, so how to tell if you are ready for the second top coat or for the second coat of top coat, because your nail is going, the top coat is going to start looking like it's shrinking on your nail, like shrink wrap. Remember, you know how shrink wrap looks when it starts to shrink? Like it's shrinking. That's how your top coat is going to look. Once your nail looks like that, then you can go in with your second coat and make this one pretty and perfect. Take your time and make sure to cap your free edge. You always want to cap your free edge to seal it in. And there's that. Second coat of top coat is in the books. So we are not done yet. We are getting so close. Last and final step, and this is honestly probably one of the most important steps. It is to show your cuticles some love. Show your cuticles some love, for goodness sake. Get some cuticle oil. Lather those babies up in oil. They will love you for it. Your cuticles need to be loved, 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 loved. So I wanted to show you guys, I just showed you that large Candi's bottle. I got these cuticle oil pens from Amazon. Pretty cool. You can refill them. So you could just buy the pre-filled pens from wherever, or you can buy the big one in bulk and then buy these pens and refill them, and you just save money that way. So I just wanted to show you that. And then you can just draw the cuticle oil right there on your cuticles. So I will put a link in the description box below that has, I think it's like $5 off for Candi's Skin and Nails. Candi's cuticle oil cotton candy scent is my favorite, but please don't go and buy it all up so that I can't have any. I'm just kidding, but the cotton candy is my most favorite. So now we are done. What do you guys think? Thank you very much for stopping by. Thank you for watching. Please, if you liked this video, like it and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.